Okay, good evening. It's 6 o'clock and we are here at the Kent School District in representation of our upcoming levy. And what we'd like to do first is show a short video on the levy. And then at that point in time, we will introduce ourselves and then we will take questions on levy questions at that time.
Welcome to the 2024 Kent School District Capital Projects and Technology Replacement Levy presentation. This presentation provides facts about why this levy is needed to provide students with safe, maintained school buildings and technology education to prepare students for their futures. This levy will focus on critical or emergent needs for safety, repairs and improvements, and technology education. It's important to know that after December 2024, there is no voter-approved capital funding source. These levy funds will provide a long-range stability for the Kent School District. This $97.8 million levy is roughly 49% less than that of the failed April 2024 levy measure. As you can see, the technology portion of this levy is $24,450,000. 57% of that is directly for education, with 40% for technology infrastructure and 3% for administrative and operational salaries. Again, it is important to note that all levy projects are subject to change based on emergent needs and are subject to approval by the school board. There's critical equipment at or beyond its useful life expectancy, with warranties expiring and failure rates increasing. These include our document cameras and classroom displays used by teachers and students in classrooms every day. You can find a list of all school projects posted on the KSD website. The levy will support students by paying for Microsoft licenses, Canvas, and student information software necessary for the teaching and learning that happens every day in our schools. This levy includes funds for a one-to-one laptop program necessary to prepare students for the 21st century jobs. Our laptops are on a 7-year cycle to ensure we're using taxpayers' dollars efficiently. It also includes training in artificial intelligence and digital literacy for our teachers. We know the importance of cybersecurity and keeping our systems safe from data breaches and our students secure online. This levy provides funds to address rising cybersecurity threats, which is required by our insurance carrier. Currently, some schools lack consistent wireless coverage to support easy access to modern learning with increased network capacity. This levy only funds those schools without coverage. The Capital and Technology Replacement Levy will also cover secure and maintained internet service for student learning, along with classroom voice amplification systems, which are out of warranty, to ensure an effective learning experience for all of our students. Intercom systems are essential to school buildings. This is a life safety issue with over 50% of our intercoms or components failing. Another system that has officially passed its end-of-life date is the uninterruptible power system that provides internet and data services to the entire district. This levy would provide funds to not only increase efficiency, but provide a reliable power source. This levy will also support home internet access for students who do not have it. This is necessary for most secondary students to complete their homework. The projected capital levy expenses are $73,350,000. 61% of that being for critical repairs, only for projects that are emergent or necessary. 31% are addressing health and safety concerns. 8% administrative costs include 5% for contingency funds and 3% for administrative salaries to complete the projects. The capital portion of this levy supports critical projects like the Transportation Refueling Center. We need to bring it up to code because the in-ground fuel tanks are past their useful life. Our central kitchen needs a new emergency generator to keep approximately $1 million in food storage in our freezers from spoiling during a power outage. There are 7 schools that need roof replacements. The average age of these roofs are 30 years old. Please check out the list of school projects on our website to find out which schools are included in this project. 6 of our schools are in dire need of a boiler replacement to keep students and staff warm in the winter. The newest boiler on this list is from 2007, and the oldest boiler is from 1999. All are well past their scheduled replacement date. Our maintenance teams have done a tremendous job maintaining these systems, but it is time to replace them. 31% of the capital portion of this levy focuses on health and safety projects, beginning with fire alarm replacements. There are 4 schools that require replacement due to their age. Emerald Park's alarm is from 1999. Matson Middle School's fire alarm is from 1995. Sawyer Woods alarm is from 1993, and Cedar Heights fire alarm is from 1992. The health and safety of our students and staff is our top priority. One of our high schools has an exterior siding issue that needs repair to keep from causing additional interior damage due to rain and moisture. As you can see from the photo, the Mill Creek Middle School field is and has been unusable after heavy rain. Students are not able to participate in PE or other athletic activities. We are currently working with the City of Kent to address the flooding issues and to provide a field that everyone can use year-round. At Kent Ridge High School, we are currently renting fields from the City of Kent because its baseball and fast pitch field cannot be used and is unsafe for students. With these levy funds, the field will be fixed and modernized for our PE classes, student athletes, and community use. You can see the total amount of the collection for years 2025 through 2027 for both capital and technology projects. It is important to note the district levies a dollar amount, not a rate. So if your property value increases or decreases, the amount the district can collect remains the same. As you know, Washington State has long faced challenges in fully funding education. The state does not provide funds for levy projects, and most school districts are reliant on their communities to bridge that gap. For more information on how schools are funded, please visit our website. A voter-approved levy would mean the projected combined KSD tax rate would drop 61 cents, a decrease of 17% overall. This combined tax rate includes the Educational Programs and Operations Levy passed last November, and our bond debt service, as well as the Capital and Technology Replacement Levy. Please remember to mail your ballot by November 5th. You don't need a stamp. There are drop boxes at all of our local libraries. Thank you for your time to listen to this presentation and be an informed voter.
Great. So again, wanted to reiterate that this is a meeting, a community meeting that revolves around the levy that we are going out for in November. This is a listening session and also a question and answer for anything that has to do with the levy projects, or the capability of the levy in its entirety. So before we get started, I'm going to introduce the people that are on the dais, starting with Faith.
Good evening, I'm Faith Sisley, Director of Communications.
Dave Buzzard, I'm the Executive Director of Operations.
And Raul Parango, Executive Director of Finance.
Kyle Olson, Director of Technology.
I'm Brett Scribner, the Assistant Director of Capital Projects.
Hello, I'm Gordon Cook, Director of Facilities.
So protocol for tonight is that we have a podium over here. If anyone has a question about the levy projects, past levies, past bonds, again, we have the people on the dais that can speak to those from a financial perspective, from a capital perspective, from a facilities perspective, from an IT perspective, from communication, and I oversee the last 2 guys on there, so I'll let them speak for anything operationally. So if you could come to the mic, I prefer that you, just like in any other meeting, if you could state your name and then your question, and we'll go from there. We also have, how many people online, Nate? 11. So I think what we'll do is we'll take one and one. I think that's what we'll do. Okay. All right. First person to come that has a question. And I would remind people, please, watch tone, watch what you say. Again, this is for the levy. If you could be respectful, we really appreciate that. And, we're here to answer questions on a technical issue from the levy. Okay.
Well, I'm here as a parent in this Kent School District. My name is Dwayne Spencer.
Okay.
My son is Royal Spencer. He goes to Scenic Hill. And we're coming together to not vote on the levy. We're not voting on the levy if a certain person, which is Kenny Polson, is in our school district. We're not going to vote on the levy. No one in here. So that's all I
So
gotta say.
do you have a question?
No questions.
So that podium right there, that is a prime example. If you do not have a question about the levy or the specifics of the levy, that's what we're looking for. Because that's what this meeting is about. This meeting is about the levy. Next.
I do have a question about the levy. So
Perfect.
I've looked at, I've paid close attention to every past failed levy, and every single time our levy has failed to pass. If you look at the comments against, the comments after the fact, the explanation for why people voted against it, it was because they did not feel like they could trust Kent School District administration with the funds. Now, some of this is based on past inherited malfeasance that is not this board's responsibility. I acknowledge that there has been a history of embezzlement and financial mismanagement within the Kent School District that is not to be bared by anyone at this table. However, there is a divide between the people who are represented by Kent School District and the board itself. That divide needs to be healed if we want this levy to pass. So my question is, what is the board going to do to reduce the amount of animosity between the board and the people who do not feel represented by the board in order to get this levy passed?
So again, and anybody who was outside, I'll let you know, nobody on this dais is a board member of the Kent School District. I will not speak for the board. I cannot speak for the board. That would be something that you would have to take up with the board.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
think you're gonna be saying that a lot tonight.
It's okay.
I did want to clarify, so my question is basically a clerical question.
Can we get
because
your name, please?
I'm Allison Miller. I'm also a parent in Scenic Hill.
Thank you.
In our previous discussion that was not recorded, you did disclose that we were going to be allowed to make statements. And so I just wanted to clarify that you said that we could make a statement, so we continue to stay here to say that we could make statements. Is that correct?
Yes, as long as you're civil. You know what? I've been told to shut the meeting down if it's not about the levy, but you know what? If it's community, it's about community.
I agree.
Okay?
And I appreciate
So,
that.
well, what I
have
want-
no
what I
intention of
want-
being uncivil.
The one thing I would like to do is that if people are just going to come up and say the same thing, can we just come up and say it in harmony?
I would employ, is there anybody here tonight who has a question that is regarding the levy that doesn't have to do with Kenny Polson?
No.
So can we proceed?
How about your online?
Thank you.
What's that? Oh, online questions. Yeah, we're going to take online questions. The video states that this is a combined decrease of 17%, but the levy is collecting more money in 2025 than the existing one does in 2024. So how is that a decrease, or is the decrease unrelated to the levy?
Combined decrease.
It's the projected tax levy rate. All three combined. It's a decrease in the projected tax rate if this levy is approved. The decrease in the projected levy tax rate.
Oh, I see. So, the decrease of 17% was due to that there are some previous levy that has been expiring. And so because they're expiring, they're no longer on the roster for tax assessment. And so this is the reason why the rate is dropping at 17%.
And then we have one online who would like to speak.
Erica.
Eric, are you there?
Mute. Okay. Hi. First of all, I would like to commend KSD on advertising this listening session a lot better than previous listening sessions. That really helped to get a text and get other communications about it. So well done there. My question is, what is the district going to do? What meaningful steps are you going to take to heal the rift with the community and the trust with the community? Because that is the problem, not the actual, nitty gritty of the levy. It's that the community doesn't trust what you're going to do with the money, that you're going to do what you've said you're going to do, that the projects are properly vetted. So what meaningful steps will KSD be taking to heal that problem? Because we all want to see, ultimately, the district do well and have what it needs.
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, so in past bonds, the 2016 bond and the 2018 levy, and again, I can have Brett Scribner, our Assistant Director of Capital Projects, speak to that. But there's forward-facing information out there. There should be, and I believe it is. And I know that we've given that to our board members, and it was in a work session. There is a document out there that shows every single project that was promises made, promises kept, that has been completed in the 2016 bond. That has a number of the original budget amount, any budget that needed to be added to that, whether the project was needed more dollars in it to fund the project, or if it needed no dollars to fund the project and an ending balance for that continued project. We have that information. We have given it to all 5 board members. We've presented it here during a work session several months ago. That is there for the community to see, for the bond, and also for the levy. So every single project's been out there. You can see exactly where those dollars have been spent. Now, the difference between a bond and a levy, I'll explain. In a bond, you create a project list, and those lists have to be completed. You cannot, I would say, change. You can add if you want to, or you can create something if a community is involved in that, or if it needs to be presented as an urgent need for a bond. In a levy, levies are for items that are of critical nature or things that are of deferred maintenance and need to be done. So let's just say that you have 4 projects on your levy, and those 4 projects are your roof, your hot water heater, your plumbing, and your yard. If one of those 4 items that are on that levy are all good, and someone crashes into your house and your whole skin of your house has to be redone, then that takes precedence. So that's where having to prioritize a project that wasn't on your list of needs will come to the top of the list of your needs. And I tried to give that to you in a homeowner's perspective, or something that people can really hold on to, because we have 44 buildings and thousands and thousands of devices in this district that need to be maintained, replaced. And that's what we do. We keep very good records of what we've replaced in the past. And now we're working on how long does that last? Our maintenance team has done a very, very good job of maintaining products, buildings, and devices longer than their useful life. And that saves the district money as well too. It saves the taxpayers a lot of money. When you're not, having to replace something that can be maintained at a high level, where instead of 25 years for a boiler, we can get 35 years out of a boiler. So I hope everybody understands that. And I hope I answered your question, Erica.
Well, I mean, you really did not answer the question. I guess we as a community of people who always vote yes on these things and had to make the really difficult choice to vote no because we don't want to write the district a blank check with its current leadership and the shenanigans and the board shenanigans that have gone on, because the board has stated publicly, I know you guys are not the board, but the board has stated that, when the levy passes, that means everyone thinks they're doing a great job. That's not the case here. So the community is looking for meaningful steps that speak to transparency, that speak to better communication, which I recognize that the district has really worked on the communication aspect and done a much better job, but transparency, it's more intangibles that we're looking for, because we don't want things like, AstroTurf prioritized. We want, we want roofs prioritized. So, and clean air for our kids and having teachers. So, that is what I'm speaking to. And it seems like there's a real lack of the ability to turn inward and look at what is going wrong, internally in the district, and saying, oh, we need to fix these things before we can earn back the community's trust.
Well, I'll go ahead and kind of summarize what Dave was getting to. And also hopefully I can answer your question or maybe bring some reassurance. I do oversee the capital projects and the capital projects lists from the 2016 bond and the 2018 levy. And we do put the information out there to be transparent when we finish a project and the budget is closed out. We don't share the project costs beforehand, before a job goes out to bid, because we do not want to influence the market for the companies that are coming in to bid on our projects. But we do share that information, and it is available to the community for them to oversee. We do put it out there to be transparent, and we are working towards completing all of our projects within the 2016 bond and the 2018 levy. And we have our list for the 2024 levy that will take us into the next few years as we finish everything up from the previous bond and levy, as well as get started on the 2024 projects. Many of these projects do take a long time from start to finish when we go into initial design through closeout. And we're really just looking ahead at what we're seeing, where we will be with our where we sit currently with our facility conditions. So if this doesn't pass, then we will just continue to press forward and finish the projects and put it out there transparently. And if it does pass, we will continue to finish projects and put that information out there transparently. Thank you.
Erica, can I just jump in here too? Kyle Olson, Director of Technology. I desperately want to do a good job for this community. I desperately want to save as much money as I can. I want to stretch your dollars as far as I can. And if there's any ideas that you guys have from a technologies perspective that I can do better, be more transparent, I welcome any of you at any time to come in and chat with me. I really want to do a good job for this community. I came from the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District. I was there for 20 years, and I felt like I had a really good reputation with the community, trying to save money, trying to be transparent. And that's what I'm trying to bring here to Ken. I've only been here for a year. And I know there's a lot of things I'm not aware of, but just from a technology perspective, really, I want to do the best I can for you guys. My team wants to perform. We really care. So if there's anything we can do, any specifics of any improvement that I can do as a department, I want to hear about it. We're not perfect, but we really try.
Thank you, Kyle. I think that goes a long way. That kind of attitude goes a long way with the community. And so I hope that that we can work together if the community has things that that they have ideas or issues. So thank you for recognizing that and being open-minded.
Okay. Next. In person.
Thank you, Kent School District. I've written a couple notes here because I'll probably go off if I don't. So thank you, the school district, for holding this informational session. My name is Matteo Garibaldi. I've been a parent at Scenic Hill for 4 years now. I do have some levy questions, but I am going to say a statement also. My daughter is in the dual language program and has improved exponentially in her ability to read, write, and speak in English and Spanish, something she wasn't doing before she started at Scenic Hill. I have the utmost respect and gratitude for all the teachers and administrators that my daughter has had the pleasure of crossing paths with, many of whom are here tonight. Thank you for the continued dedication and commitment to our children's education and well-being. It doesn't go unnoticed. This is the first time I'm attending one of these informational sessions. And I feel that it's of a particular importance to share my opinion today. I, like many others here, understand that supporting the levy means supporting our children with resources. It means supporting our kids' teachers, nurses, counselors, paras, librarians, PE teachers, music teachers, office staff, and many others. This is a very easy thing to support, and I know we can all agree that more funding means more support for our kids. Unfortunately, I feel disappointed, betrayed today by the district. Not my local school administrators or teachers at Scenic Hill, because I feel I'm being put in a position to have to choose between the amazing support that my child will benefit from if the levy is passed, and ensuring absolute security that my child is not exposed to or involved in anything that could jeopardize my child's safety. I was made aware of a gentleman who was supposed to start at Scenic Hill on Monday, 9/16 as a new music teacher. I'm not here to debate the details of his life nor the validity of any of it. Instead, if anything, I believe I understand the difficult position the district has gotten itself into. You've found out now more than a couple schools, its teachers, its parents, and administrators recognize there does exist a potential issue that the person's ability to ensure our kids' safeties given their past. I recognize I don't understand fully how the hiring process works nor how the school union works, so I'll make a few, I think, reasonable assumptions. The district hired this individual initially for an unknown reason because they needed a music teacher and they were or were not aware of the person's past. Once information came out about this person's past, parents, teachers, and administrators communicated their concern, so this individual was moved because there were no grounds to terminate them. Without consulting the new school's administration at Scenic Hill, placement of this individual was moved to Scenic Hill. Lastly, the district is in a difficult position. I understand that, because they cannot let this person go because they don't have any reason to let them go, because they haven't done anything yet currently that would warrant being fired. This would lead to a wrongful suit. So for me, this is about money. You do not want to get sued for wrongful termination, even though this person's past clearly shows that there exists potential for students and staff to be put in potential damaging and dangerous situations. Coming back to the levy. If the decision to keep this person on staff is about money, because you don't want to get sued, I cannot in good faith support the levy, which is money for the district. My child's safety, security, and well-being is more important than any amount of money. My question is, why should we support money coming into the district when it appears that money is the reason that a potentially dangerous person is staying and remaining on staff?
Say it out loud. Thank you. Again, we will not respond to anything other than a levy.
Understand.
So, other than levy, okay. So it's 6:30 and I see there's a lot of people here. So I'm gonna make a command decision here for me, since I'm the one that went out there. Gordon Cook is my director of facilities. He comes in between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning, works long hours. I'm gonna release Gordon and tell him to go home unless someone has a question for Gordon right now about facilities. Does anybody have a question for Gordon Cook for facilities? Ms. Hitch, please come.
It's a more broad question, props to all you for showing up, but I was here unaware that that was happening. And it is an example of some of the issues that others have called, but my question is actually, so we've rolled out new tech recently. All the website, all the rooms, all the things like that. I heard there's like a multi-year contract. And so my question is, one, how do we prioritize that over the quote unquote emergent needs that were in the slide or the video about like uninterrupted power, in-ground fuel, central kitchen, etc. So one, why was that prioritized? And two, are there any risks to that contract or that multiple year deal if we do not pass the levy?
I believe that's your question.
Well, I can speak to the levy does not pay for that contract.
Okay.
Correct.
Is that accurate, or does the levy pay for that contract? It's part of that
It comes out of
communications.
subscription. So this is actually a cost savings measure because it's a unified tool and it's additional two-way communication tool for teachers at a cost less than what we were paying for 3 other services. So before we had School Messenger, we had the website, and then we had other scheduling tools that we use to send out communications. By going to one tool, it's actually saving the district money with an updated website and a two-way communication tool that translates. So that's, it's a 1-year contract, and then we'll receive if we renew at the end of that.
And just to clarify that that particular item is not paid for by the levy, it's actually paid for by the general fund.
And does that also mean that those two things don't prioritize against each other?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, I'm gonna let them.
Any other facility questions about the 44 buildings that we have in the Kent School District? Mr. Cook? Go ahead. Again, because I'm going to allow these directors, assistant directors, and leadership to go home. I said that I would listen. I'm going to stay here and listen till 7:30. If Faith or Raul want to stay with me, they can. But again, I'm going to release the technical people from here because I really feel that this is technical. If you have technical questions, great. If you want to make a statement for your cause and what's going on, I'm going to be here because that's what I promised outside. So Dave Buzzard will keep up to his promises when I say things. Okay? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Thomas Grissom, and I just wanted to, I wasn't aware of this either, so sorry. I just wanted to know, if something is on your schedule to be done and then it gets skipped or prioritized, how is that communicated on why a project was skipped in lieu of something else?
Generally, we have our prioritized list and we have our years that we're gonna perform the work. Nothing generally gets skipped. Sometimes projects get moved up and sometimes they get pushed back based on the needs of the other projects that are around them. For instance, Meeker gym floors were at the very end of the list, but they were actually moved up to be done this next summer because we had realized that actually the wear and tear of that floor had gotten significantly worse in the past couple of years than we anticipated. And so I'm not, if something is on a list and it's set to be completed, if that is delayed, then we do show that on our yearly update or our biannual update. If there is a reason needed, there would be a reason given, but usually if it's something that that we couldn't get to because another project had to come up in its place, then we would disclose that, yes.
So also I just want to remind anybody in the audience and online, Faith, could you tell us where those PDF documents are for the levy? They're not there? Okay. That has the CP updates, even the older ones. Okay, so we have a list and we'll get that to Faith and we'll make sure, but it shows what's been completed, what's still not started yet, what's in progress, and then it has a date of when it's projected to be done for every levy project and every bond project. Knowing that those can switch depending on, let's just say a permit can't go through, because we have to deal with several entities when we build projects, and we deal with 7 different municipalities in this district, from Kent to Black Diamond to Covington to King County. So there's a lot of agencies that we have. SeaTac, we have to work through many of those. Also, you said, what if something changes? How does it get brought out? If there's any change to the bond or any major change to the bond or the levy, it goes to the board as either informational or if the board needs to approve it. Nobody on this dais can add a project to any bond or any levy. I want to say that one more time. Nobody on this dais can do that. We can present it to the board. The board has to approve it. We, as individuals of the school district, cannot just say, I'm going to go do a project because I think it needs to be done. It takes board approval, has to go up through executive cabinet, they review it, goes to the board, and the board decides.
And I would just jump on that too, even existing project, right? Like I have to write up a very, very stringent documentation about the bid process, everything, why we did this, the way we did it. And if it's not the low price, exactly why we didn't take the low price, which it's almost always we take the low price. And so I've been in another district for about 20 years. The requirements here in this district, if the information that I have to give this board is head and shoulders above anything that I experienced in my last district. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just giving the reality of what I've experienced the last year that I've been here.
Then are we able to maybe add a tab on the new website where it shows this document so we can follow?
Could you come? Yeah, we just want to make sure you're recorded.
Are we able to add a tab on the website so we can follow it more closely? It would also help with communication out there in the community as well.
I think that we could do that. We share this information with the board. And I was under the impression that it was being shared out to the community as well. So we can look into that, certainly. And it seems like there's a lot of people here from Scenic Hill or the Scenic Hill area. So I will mention that we are currently in design for the multimedia center to be added to the Scenic Hill Elementary building. We're working with Hutterball Ramus at this time, and that should be going out to bid in January, February, as soon as we get through the permitting process. And I think that'll be a lovely addition to your school there. So we're looking forward to that.
And to answer another piece of your question about planning. So we have, there's several things you look at. How much time do we have to do the work? How much time does it take to get prepared to do the work? And how much staff does it take to do the work, right? So it might take the whole capital projects team to build a school. So maybe that's the project for that time period, where they could do 4 or 5 smaller projects in the same period. So there's kind of there's a weighing of several different things, right? Time, money, and just resources we have to do those, and importance. And they'll sometimes change a little bit. They plan the year in advance, looking towards those things.
And we're gonna take a couple online because it has a lot to do with what we're talking about here. It says, I realize emergency projects can come up. Who decides if a new project is taken on and added to the levy and what item doesn't get funded? So again, that same question that just came up online again as well. The board, nobody here can say that one gets moved to another. We present it, we propose it to the board. The board has to make that approval for that project to be added. It's not that it goes away. Any project that either gets in lower priority, that project doesn't go away. We don't just say, yep, we're just going to toss that one out the door and we're not going to do it. It just goes down to the next priority level. And if something comes up that's higher than that need, then that's how it just keeps going. Next one, what steps can be taken to make sure that projects come in at budget and not go over budget? Many previous projects have gone over bidded cost. Are bids accepted that are guaranteed for a certain time period, 2 years? No, you cannot do that. If we accept the bid and when we go out for a competitive bid, that bid has a timeline, usually in the specifications. So there's a time that project must start, and there's a time that project must stop. We in this district do a lot of what other districts do in capital, and Brett can speak more to this, is that there are things called liquidated damages. If the contractor doesn't finish in time, there's a fine that gets put on them unless it's our issue or it's something of Mother Nature and those items. But when we take the bid and we accept that bid has to be done for that price during those time periods. You couldn't take that bid and then say, okay, you know what? We're going to hold off and we're going to keep that bid, but we want to do it in 2 years. Labor increases, prices increase, things increase across the board. So we couldn't be able to do that. How will these projects be prioritized? Critical. I think you just answered that. Okay.
Hi.
Oh, is there one more? The last one? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cook, they're asking you one. Mr. Cook, are there any levy project things that the ESSER funds could have been used to address? KSD left a lot of money on the table. I would like Raul to answer that question first.
So I'll answer the second part of that question first. There isn't all the money that was granted to us related to ESSER has been claimed down to the last dollar. The ESSER amount that was granted to KSD is approximately about $90 million, and all of which were claimed. No money has been left on the table. However, I'd like to answer the first question, which is, what are the uses of those funds? ESSER is not exclusively for facilities or capital projects, but rather it also during the COVID time could be used for mitigating the impact of COVID, particularly the inability of the district to reduce its expenditures or to lay off. The district decided to maintain the level of staffing using the ESSER funds. And so, yes, there were some other part of the funds that were used for facilities. For example, I think HVAC repairs and other supplies to mitigate the impact of COVID, but they're not exclusively for facilities only. They could be used for varieties of reasons to mitigate the impact of COVID, including learning loss mitigation.
So one more time, does anybody have any more questions? Because I'm going to allow Mr. Cook to go home to his family. Yes.
No.
Facility question. Oh, I'm sorry. You have a facility question.
No, I have a pie chart question. I just didn't want someone to get in front of me again.
Okay, so again, what I said out there, I'm going to abide by. But what I want to do is I want to allow these leaders here to answer any questions before they can be released. They get up early, they work hard, and again, listen, but they're here for specifics of the levy. That's why they're here. They're here for specifics. I'm sorry, please. Anybody have a specific question regarding facilities? Technical question. Go ahead.
Not sure if this is technical or not, and I'm not sure how the supplies are not.
I'll let you know.
Okay, so part of the levy is for new athletic fields at two schools, right? One middle, one high school?
Correct.
Correct. And then there's a grant that kind of is going along with that.
Sure.
Has the grant been applied for yet?
The grant is almost being applied for. We are working with the city. We are very, very close for applying for the grant.
Do we know like when that's happening? And more clearly, like, does the levy have to pass and then we get the grant, or do we get the grant, but if the levy doesn't pass, what happens?
So I can answer that question. So, and that's really, that has nothing to do with Mr. Cook.
Okay, I wasn't
So
sure,
before I answer
so-
that one, anything else for Mr. Cook before I let Mr. Cook go home? Unless you want to stay, it's totally up to you. For facilities? Well, let me answer Mr. Goloff's question first, because this is going to take a little time. Okay, so in the levy, we have a project to do the Mill Creek field. Okay, that project was also in the 2016 bond. We know this. People were asking the question, wasn't that Mill Creek field project on the 2016 bond? Yes, it was. It was for a grass field. I will tell you that budget amount right now. It was $1.8 million, would have never even come close to even designing it and getting the infrastructure even to build a field. We know that today. So there was dollars there, still there to be built the field, but we decided to go for a grant that will take a larger and better perspective of the land that's there so it doesn't flood. So yes, there was a project in 2016. Yes, we've used that 2016 money to design the field, and that's what we're using those dollars for 2016. This dollar amount is for the 2024 levy, is for the finishing of the synthetic field with a promenade, a very nice rubberized track, just like what we have at Canyon Ridge. That is what that funding source will do. Now I'll jump into the City of Kent and Kent School District joint venture, if you want to call it. We also have our community, our CBOs involved in this one as well too. So we do have some community partners that it's basically a triangle. There's a Kent School District, there's a community partner, and then there's a City of Kent. So that $19 million plus, we're asking for those dollars because it's going to take somewhere in the north of 10, 12 million dollars just to put all of the drainage underneath the field and the parking lots just to keep the water from flooding. And that is also us raising the current Mill Creek field up somewhere just around 2 feet tall. So that grant is to be, again, we're still working on it with our consultant who's been putting that together for us. We're hopeful. There's it's for the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. There are several people that are going for the same grant. We are hopeful that that one will come back to us because it really is about the need for children to have a safe place to play. Exactly, to play, and for our community to to be able to use as well.
Okay, so
I know what you're going to ask me. So if the funding for the grant comes through, what do you do with the extra dollars from the field that you won't need? Because that was a question that came up the last time.
or vice versa. Yeah.
Okay, so again, so if the grant fails, the field would not be able to do. So again, I think it's next week or the week after, we're putting together a community. We're trying to get people to come in and be a part of a committee or a task force for our capital and to get involved and work through us, just like what we did with the first bond that failed. And we will go throughout and we will reutilize those dollars for what is a priority need. So if those dollars do not get used for the field, then we would use that for a priority field. for a priority project.
So do we have a timeline on the grant then?
The grant
Nick,
has to be, I think the
there a deadline to
grant is
apply?
like October, November. I think it's at the end of October or end of November of when the legislation gives it. We have to apply first, and then it can be given anytime from the time that they do that until, I believe it's November.
And then separately, hang on one second. So separately, you said you were talking about the difference between bonds and levies earlier.
Correct.
The 2016 bond, were there any changes to that after the fact?
Yes, there have been added projects to that, and there were some changes to that, and those were all board approved.
Right. I understand the board approval part, but I'm just trying to, not trying to belabor the point, but it's the changes thing that gets people bogged down. I think somebody mentioned that earlier, right? Even if it's board approved, it's still a change, right? And the 16 bond, didn't that call for all of the middle and high school fields to be redone?
It did.
It did. And did any of those get redone then? or
Correct.
not?
They did. Not all of them.
Which ones did get?
Kent
redone?
Lake, Kent Ridge, Kent Wood have not been done. And Meridian Middle have not been done.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Okay.
All the rest of them have been done.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any more facility questions or levy questions that have a very technical question about the levy?
Good evening. My name is Erna. I'm actually a former student of Scenic Hill Elementary School. I went there when I was in 3rd grade and 4th grade. So, and I'm 35, so it's been over 20 plus years. My question about the facilities and the technologies is over the course of 20 years, so 2 decades, that light that flickers does not work. For safety reasons, it doesn't work, and there's no camera for when the traffic goes back and forth. That doesn't work. The facility, the actual entire building needs renovating. So my question is, when is Scenic Hill's turn to get upgraded? Like the entire facility, the technologies, when is Scenic Hill's turn? Because like I said, I've been part of this community for over 2 decades and nothing has changed. And now to add this, I mean, I'm supporting this, but, and I have a kindergarten that's going there. It's over 2 decades, no changes to this school, and to the added to this stress of the entire what's been going on. So when is Scenic Hill's turn to upgrade the technologies and the entire building?
So let's talk about the technologies, because from my perspective, the district as a whole has the same technology. We got the same switches, access points, devices. What kind of technology? Because I want to make sure that we.
So are you in charge of the light that flickers for safety?
Not in charge of the lights.
If you're referring
The
to
the one
crosswalk,
that's like, it says school zone, you're on camera. No, you're not on camera.
I believe that would be the city of Kent.
Yeah,
that
there's
is.
there's no camera, and that light does not flicker.
Is that on the road?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the city of Kent.
That's the city of Kent.
That's not a
Okay.
Kent school
Yeah,
district.
that's not a school
Okay.
district item.
Okay, but like I said, also the entire school, now that I have a kindergarten and I went to school there, literally the entire building actually looks worse. It looks like 10 times worse.
So I'll let Brett bring up all of the bond projects and levy projects that have been done at Scenic Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have actually recently replaced the door lock hardware, including the panic hardware and the closures. We've had an entire interior repaint. The entire school has been repainted on the inside, every classroom, every staff area. As I said, we are in design right now to add a library media center, which will actually be a really, really nice facelift to the front of the building there. And if you guys are interested, we will be holding meetings with our architect along with the principal and the librarian at Scenic Hill. If you guys are interested in maybe joining in on one of those meetings, maybe virtually, we can have the architect go through the conceptual design for what we're looking at putting there. And we have also, let's see, we upgraded the energy management system, which controls the damper actuators and the sensors and thermostats, which helps with the comfort levels of the rooms. We've painted the exterior portables, and let's see, and we've replaced the classroom ramps, the old wood ramps with aluminum ramps. So those are the projects that we've had on the old levy and the old bond.
It also had an HVAC upgrade,
So,
I believe.
so I
Yeah.
would like to do this. Faith just gave it to me. So on the 2023 bond, here's every single project that was on the bond specifically for Scenic Hill. Upgrade locks and hardware. Camera upgraded. Add radio amplifiers. Reduce camera blind spots. A brand new reader board. Replace the HVAC system. Upgrade the entire alarm system. Replace irrigation controllers. Replace the asphalt around the field. LED lighting survey and replacement. LED parking lots. Install digital thermostats. Replace all light switches. A new generator for the annex. Restroom remodels. Refresh the parking lot. And the outdoor learning side, we were going to put inclusive playground components. We were also going to replace all the playground padding. The district program growth would be to modernize for pre-K. All new furniture in the building, all new furniture in the building. And then the technology was to upgrade universal power systems, replace emergency intercoms, new visitor management systems, improve disaster recovery infrastructure, and replace the network fiber optics. That was in the failed 2023 bond that if passed, those are all the projects that would have been done.
Right, so you'd need our support for this one, correct?
We need our
Yes.
community support always.
Good, so if we support you, you can support us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Cook? You want to stay? Okay. All right.
Hi, my name is KJ Wyman. I'm the auntie of a student at Scenic Hill. My question is, in the video, you showed a pie chart that said 3% was going to be going towards administrative. I was wondering if you could be specific as to what is covered in that 3%, and more specifically, if any of that money would be allocated to go to the salary of Mr. Polson.
I can speak to the technology portion. When we're doing technology to qualify as a capital levy, it has to be the money administrative cost would be my people actually deploying the equipment. So it can't be used for anybody else other than brand new systems and my staff deploying those systems and only the amount of time that they're spent deploying those systems. So from the technology side, when you see administrative costs, that's what that's about.
And I'll tail on to Kyle there. The administration and contingency cost within the capital portion of the levy is only to fund the capital projects team. And there are some portions of, I think a portion of Dave's salary comes out of that capital levy as well, because
planning for the
he oversees
projects.
our team. But that is what the administration costs are for those projects.
Okay,
So
and then,
so
sorry.
just to be clear, so for this capital and tech levy, there can be no dollar spent on any teacher.
Okay, and then also to clarify, in the video, it mentioned quite a few times the health and safety of staff and students. What specifically is considered to be health and safety of staff and students?
So from the capital, I'll let Brett, you want to talk about what you,
Yeah,
Health
yeah.
and safety.
So for health and safety, it's just there are identified projects that are required. So for the health and safety, we have primarily fire alarm control panels, well, fire alarm systems, I should say, the control panels and the devices. And then also We just have the boiler replacements. The boilers generate the heat for the building. We are not allowed to operate a building that does not have heat in it. And so we're trying to get out in front of the failures of those systems. The fire alarm systems, we also, it's mandatory that we have functioning fire alarm systems in our buildings. And many of our panels are no longer supported for parts and part replacements. So again, we're trying to get out in front of the failure of these systems because they do take, you know, about 10 to 12 months for design and permitting and going out to bid. And once a bid is received, it takes about another 10 to 12 months to receive devices because of the delay in the supply chain. So we do have a few years that we need to think ahead in designing and planning these projects to stay ahead of the failure of the systems.
And I'll just be brief on the technology side. We talk about the intercom systems kind of the same way you do on the other systems.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Nathan, I don't think we have anything else online, right?
We do.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, I'm Nicole Valdez. I'm a mom of a first grader and I want to acknowledge that I know you guys aren't the board and I thank you for answering our questions and for listening to us. I mean, I really do have questions about, like, in all honesty, my son doesn't go to Scenic Hill, but I support all of these parents and I would never, ever let my son attend school if I knew that was happening there, or if it happens at his school, I'll remove him. But my question is, why are we even talking about something that requires a project to be even had if we all know we won't send our kids there? Move them to another school, we won't send our kids there. My idea on technical safety would be, why don't we supply the Kent School District to make decisions on how to do background checks on folks? There's a technical thing that we should worry about, but in all honesty, there's just really not a need to speak on things that I truly value. You want to make our kids' schools better. I seen my kids' school ground today, the playground. It's ridiculous, right? The playground's so old, but I'm taking him there. And so I value that's your job, but like, I'm just so mind boggled that as a community, we're focusing on that and it's not your choice, but to be brought to another level, that should be like, duh, like who's ever above making these decisions. You don't need to sit here and talk about this when none of us will send our kids there. So they won't be experiencing the better technology. They won't be experiencing the new lights. A lot of the Scenic Hill parents aren't going to send their kids. They had to have people interpret what was going on for them today. If there's a technology priority, why did these parents have to have people interpret in Spanish and such so they could understand their child's in danger if they go to Scenic Hill? Exactly. Why did parents have to go to school bus stops to meet the parents that send their kids? Why did my friend that works in the admin say they didn't even find out till this weekend? And then the parents found out Monday morning, probably from a friend on Facebook. So I know that's not you. I wish the school district board members were here to hear it, and I thank you for hearing it. But I mean, I think it's clear as day that why should any money be put into a project when we won't send our kids there? You know, but I thank you, and thank you for listening.
You're welcome. Next.
Hi, my name is Christy Stanton, and I am not from Scenic Hill. I am from Lake Youngs. And I also want to mention that I know that you guys have nothing to do with hiring. You have nothing to do with who is still employed in this district. But I will say that you have a proximity to those in power that we don't. We've tried. People from Lake Youngs, I have tried for 3 years to tell them to do something, to beg them to do something. And we get duplicated, pithy responses. So we've tried to talk to the board. We've tried to talk to administration. They do not listen to us. I'd argue that even before anyone found out that Polson was being moved to Scenic Hill, that you guys shouldn't be alone up here. Because a lot of the reason people aren't supporting the levy is nothing to do with your plans. It has nothing to do with your technology plans. It has nothing to do with it. I shouldn't say nothing. I know that there is some of it. There's some distress, there's some feelings there for sure, but it's not fair for you guys to be doing this listening session alone, in my opinion, because I feel like the vast majority of the problems that people have and the reason a community who normally supports school levies pretty reliably it's not because of you guys. It's not. I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate that you've stayed longer than you even need to. You've listened better than we've had listening done at actual board meetings, so I appreciate that. I would ask you that if you had a kid at one of these elementary schools whose friend reached out for help and did not get it, if you were me and your son was told that he was not smart or capable of becoming smart by a teacher who we later found out was riddled with insane records, and we did the right thing, and we went to the people in power, and we were respectful and hopeful, and they did nothing. But if you have any access to them, if you have any access to power of the people who actually can do something about this, please do something. Please pass it along. Please go. Can you see, we stayed here until 7:30 and we want to talk about the levy. And it's not our fault that we didn't get to talk about the levy, because it's not your fault. It's their fault. They can do something. They can. They haven't tried. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you. So again, in honor of what I said out front, and I'm gonna just toss out a couple of things here. I want to just thank the other leaders that are sitting on this dais with me, for them to be here for something, because they didn't go out there and say that I would listen. So, but you know what? If I get whatever happens to me for that one, I'll take that one, because I do value what the community is saying. I do want to let you all know that, just like your comment, it's not fair for some of us or whatever to sit on a dais, sit here and listen. I'm going to tell you why we're here. Because we come every day and we show up for our kids. I don't have any children in the Kent School District. I have children or grandchildren in other districts, but I don't have any here. But I continue to come here every day. And I will continue to come here. Every single one of these leaders continue to come here. So we can't stop. And we won't stop. The leaders on this dais are not going to stop doing what we know needs to happen in the district. I can tell you that. There's 2 of them that report to me and multiple of them that report to other people in the district. But I can tell you, us as leaders, we're not going to stop until we know that we have to keep coming, because this is what we know is right for the children in this district, for the staff in the district. Thank you. For the staff in the district and also for our community. And I understand that. But so for people that say, you know, why are you here? You wish somebody else would be talking to you. Again, I can't answer those questions. But I am here to make sure that we take any other questions that we want, any other statement that you want to say. And I just want to say thank you to the leaders on this dais that are here with me tonight.
And I want to echo what you say, Dave, that we are here to listen, and we're happy to listen and, you know, share your concerns and really provide any insight we can on the levy specifically, but we're always here to listen for our community.
Yes.
Mike Kearney, Scenic Hill community member, teacher at Scenic Hill for 24 years, Kent School District Teacher of the Year 21-22, Kent Area Council PTA Teacher of the Year 2018. I know some of you, we've crossed paths. One thing we definitely have in common, just as I was talking to Mr. Cook in the back room, is that every single one of us in here wants what is best for kids, without a doubt. And I have no doubt you do as well. And yeah, you guys are getting the raw end of the stick tonight. And like we talked outside, we know it's not you, but we also know that the school board, Damon Hunter, HR department, Israel Vela, will all be watching this. And I guarantee you, they probably already have gotten a few texts tonight. And so this is more for them, knowing that we can't, that your hands are tied. Saying that, I would venture to guess, I know that I have never voted no on a levy. And I would say 99% of the people in here have never voted no on a levy. It would hurt me personally. It would hurt every single person in there and their families. And we also realize that if the only way to get the board to truly hear us is through the pocketbook. And I would venture to guess that if this individual is placed at Scenic Hill, then I can say that nearly 90% of the 99% of the Scenic Hill community, parents, community members that live on the hill, and staff will be voting no on this levy, which will crash this levy, which will hurt every single person. I also can guarantee you that 99% of the people in the Scenic Hill community will vote yes on this levy if he is removed. I know that's beyond you, and I'm sure that the board will hear that loud and clear, hopefully. Also, one other thing, and this has nothing to do with you, but it's a frustration at the board, but they are not here. Lake Young, he was placed at Lake Young's Elementary, which is a very, as you guys well know, a very affluent school with very strong parent voice who know how to work the system. He was removed from there because of parent advocacy. 9 months later, he's placed in one of the lowest affluent schools in the district, where majority of our parents don't speak English or have limited English and do not know how to work the system. It is a travesty that they would try to place him in a place where parents cannot advocate for themselves. As we can see here, we have plenty of parents to advocate for the students of Scenic Hill. I truly appreciate what you do. And as someone at Scenic Hill, I see all the stuff that you guys have done and I appreciate those things. That's not the case. It all comes down, you're starting PowerPoint, talked a lot about safety. That's what we're talking about too. There we can find common ground. But it has to be the safety of the students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Holly Miles. I'm a proud parent of a student at Scenic Hill. I'm going to say some things that are very similar to what's already been said, but it can't be said enough tonight to Kent School District. Again, you're not the board, but I want to speak to the district as a whole. I'm deeply disturbed by the district and what they have done to Scenic Hill. This is not okay. You all were incorrect in thinking that the Scenic Hill community would sit idly by while this happens in our school. To the amazing administration, teachers, staff, and students in this building. We will not stop advocating for the entire Kent School District. That needs to be heard. Now, my one question is, again, as employees of the district, what can you do? How can you help us? They're kids. They are kids. We need to protect them. And like they said, this is a Title I school. They're kids. None of you should be in that situation. None of us should be in that situation. And those kids should not be in that situation. So what can you do?
I do not have a district answer for you. I don't have a board. I cannot speak on behalf of the board or the superintendent, deputy superintendent. What I can tell you is that, just like I spoke before, we will continue to come here every day and do what we can. Our technical background and what we do for the district every day. That's what we do as a district for a whole. And I understand that. I wish there was something I could say, but I know there's nothing I can say.
Let me add then. I know I have been working as a professional for 20+ years. There are lines you gotta follow. You can't cross. I get it. The rules, HR, legal, I get it. I implore each and every single one of you to do every single thing that you can to influence change and keep the entire district safe. He can't be just shuffled around. And we can't have somebody else come in like this. Just please, anything you can do and keep doing it. Even if the first 1, 2, 10 answers are no, please.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elisa Holman. I am a citizen of Kent. I have 3 children in the district, and I have been at Scenic Hill for 24 years. It is my community. I speak here on behalf of students, of staff, and of our families, some of whom have experienced sexual harassment, assault, or sexual abuse in the past. Think about that. Think about coming to school, to your workplace, knowing that someone has been placed there who has a heinous record of sexual harassment, assault, and who shows no remorse for that, who has been through trainings, who has been through many trainings, but has not changed their behavior. Imagine showing up to work and finding out that this individual is going to be working with your students, with your child, with your daughter who is a teacher, with your niece who is a teacher. Consider the pain, the trauma, and the anxiety that would cause somebody who has been in this situation before. Knowing that this individual is roaming the halls, using a restroom in the same place that students are using a restroom, that will be in a portable, isolated from others. And imagine how you would feel and what you would want to happen if that were your family member. I thank you for coming, I know, and listening to us. You didn't expect this, I'm sure. And you're being very patient, and I appreciate that so much. But I know the power that you have. I know the people that you talk to. And if it were any other situation, I would be here to listen for the levy, because like Mr. Carney said, I always vote for it because I believe in it. I believe in our schools, and I want our kids to have everything they need. But I cannot and will not in good conscience vote for this levy while Kenny Paulson is an employee of our district. He shouldn't even be in the district building. He should not be in any school district. And we need to do something about that. And we need your help to do that. Thank you for your time.
Okay, anybody else? Any other questions about the levy?
I am a new parent at Scenic Hill. My kindergarten daughter started at the school, and I never imagined that this would be my second week at school. There are actually carve-outs in the in laws around this, around records. Now I expect, my suspicion, I don't know, is that the administration didn't know about his expunged record, but they found out
They found out 10 months ago, and they still placed him at a school with unsupervised access to children. Now, because there was a public article, how could they not know about the KUW article about Kent schools? Now, what are you thinking? Like, think about the lawsuit if he does something, right? I mean, get him out of our school. Get him out. He doesn't need to be there. And I implore you to call a lawyer and have them look up the laws that have carve-outs for those kind of records in schools. And think about it. Now, I'll tell you, I have emailed every board member. I have emailed the district. I have emailed Damon. I've emailed the union, and we're going to keep emailing. And I think it's not far until we lawyer up. Now, I am incredibly insulted that this was dropped on a Title I school where children who have English as a second or as a second or third or fourth language, parents at home do not speak English. There's extra barriers for them reporting to their parents what's happening to them in their classrooms. Can you imagine that? It also comes down to not believing people who are reporting, even though he pled, right? He pled to it. So you're not listening to his plea. You're not listening to the statements that are recorded in a reprimand from the Oregon Public Schools that my understanding is the district looked at before they hired him. So let's start believing women and children, his own plea deal, and let's find somebody who can look at all that and say, I think enough is enough. Maybe we should get this guy out. I have nothing else to say.
I don't see a question on there. Just a statement. Okay, you can let the first one. Who's the first one? Erica's back. Okay. Erica, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I did just ask a question online, regarding how much longer will we be putting lipstick on the oldest schools in our district, the brick ovens, I like to call them, Sue's Creek, Fairwood, the 1969 era, East Hill is, I'm sure, one of them. How much longer are we going to keep fixing those up? Is there a general plan to start replacing those?
Yes, so again, when we went for the bond was, bonds are for basically buildings, levies are for either deferred maintenance and keeping buildings alive and maintained as best as we can. Again, there are only 30 people in the district. They take care of 44 buildings. That's grounds, everything that has to do with HVAC, electrical, plumbing, maintenance. So for the bond, we felt that bond would get us through until the next bond. And then the next bond, we looked at what are those schools like the Lake Youngs, the Pine Trees, the ones that were built in 66. Meridian Middle was built in 1951. So when you start to think about things like that, yes, the plan is that we have to really look at our state and studies survey that's done every 6 years. And then Mr. Cook does an ICOS viewpoint and report basically of what that building and how it's operating every year. So we get those data points and we determine what needs to be done. And that's really where the list of priorities come from. Like, does it need to have a new boiler? Do we need to have new windows? What is the roof looking like? So to answer the question is, Yes, we would love to build some new buildings. But new buildings are gonna cost an extremely, that's a lot of money. So, River Ridge Elementary School up on Military Road was $53 million. The cost of a middle school is somewhere, I say 155 to 200 million. There's a lot of people that say that my numbers are skewed, but I can tell you that, you can look it up. Not OSPI. Please don't go to OSPI and look up what a cost of a school is. Call contractors and call school districts themselves and pull public records of what the soft cost and the hard cost of a true building would cost. And then a high school, if we were to ever replace a high school, it's well north of 225 to $250 million. And that is in our capital facilities plan. It comes out every year. You can take a look at that. So do we want to, Erica? Absolutely, we do. Is there a list of which schools get done first? Well, absolutely, we would come into the the 60 range, the 50 range. But again, we put a lot of money from the 2016 bond and the 2018 levy into these buildings to keep them going. Somebody asked me, Meridian Elementary, the front part of Meridian Elementary that just got the new windows in it was built in 1938. They say, Dave, why wouldn't you rip that building down? I wouldn't, because the whole back of the building and the other ones, those are really good. The walls are 13 inches thick. It has brand new HVAC in it. It's got a brand new multi-purpose room. It's got brand new windows. I'm going to put some landscaping in there, or Brett is in here in the next couple of months. We wouldn't do that. Would we gut the interior of that shell and leave that 13-inch thick concrete wall? Absolutely. And redo some of the structure? Yes. It's got a roof on it. It's only been there for 10, 12, 15 years. So yeah, those are the kind of things that we think of, like how can we save dollars? The other thing about building new schools is this. Do you have the spot on the building property to be able to build it? Let's take Lake Young's. Where would you build a new school on Lake Young's property if you could? Where do you put the children? So think about, it's going to be a design for about a year. Educational specifications and design are going to take a little bit over a year. It's going to take at least a year to get a permit. It's going to take about 14 to 16 months to build. So now you're 3.5 years in from the time that you even thought of the dollars it needed to take to build a new school. Where do we put those children? So now we're going to have to take those kids from one school and either filter them out to several schools for a school year or even longer, and then bring them back. This is why the concept of building a swing school was in our bond. It was a concept in our bond. A lot of school districts do it. They ask the community to build a school that can go from pre-K to 8. And that takes care of our elementary schools and our middle schools. So you can transfer kids from one school into that swing school while you're building another school. People think, well, why can't you, like Pine Tree? Can we do Pine Tree? No, because the back of Pine Tree is the septic system for the school. It's not even tied into Kent sewer. So that school was built in 1966, still has. And I'm just giggling because I think like that is like, wow, it's still got a septic. I have a septic tank at my house. I'm thinking, wow, that's a big septic tank on Gordon. So I kind of think about things like that. But yes, Erica, we do want to build new schools. This is why we would like to get a community group, focus group together to come to the district to help us, just like we did with the bond, and just like we did with the boundary, and have our community from all of the districts, all the district represented that each board member has, to come together and be a part of a task force or a committee that can be a part of that determination of what would be best for the district for new buildings going forward. And I hope I answered that question.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Absolutely.
So you're talking about you'd like to have this committee. How do we as community members get on this committee? Has the committee already been selected? How is this going to happen?
So Dr. Behringer has put that out, I believe. I can let Faith answer that one. I do know that there's a meeting on the Monday after, I think it's on the 30th. So I think that is the first meeting. Look at my calendar, so I know it's right. Sorry. I know it is on my calendar. It is on, it's called KSD Together Committee. It is on Monday, September 30th, between 5:30 and 7. And that'll be the first of many, I believe also. And I know Dr. Behringer, our Deputy Superintendent, is championing that committee and asking parents and community and even students. We'd love to have students on that committee as well too, because I think student voice is very important. I think we can learn a lot from our students. I really do. And I think that's been said a lot lately. So
Oh, is this an open invitation to people who want to be on the committee to attend that meeting and show their interest, or is it already closed?
it is not. And I can tell you that anytime you see a open public meeting here in the Kent School District, we always want our community to show up. We always do.
Great.
Any other questions from, and by the way, I really appreciate everybody coming tonight. And I appreciate, I know that you've been civil and you've been passionate. But you can always have that conversation and still keep that that level of commitment to the whole reason why we're here. And that's kids. We're all here for kids, every single one of us. If it wasn't for kids, we wouldn't be here, right? Think about it. So that's why we're here, and that's what we're gonna keep doing here. And I'm trying to get back to that discussion.
I'm sure you guys do, but I don't think the board of directors do. Every single parent here has emailed all of them, and it's always copy and paste, the same email to every single parent here. They're not listening. I don't think they're here for the kids. I know you guys are, and I appreciate you guys listening, I really do. And I appreciate all the comments from online too, and from everyone here. But I have not seen a different email coming from the board of directors. They said they would respond, but no, just copy and paste, copy and paste. They're being careful with their words.
Appreciate that.
So much easier if we could actually talk about the levy. Like I had a lot of material suggestions. There are ways to make this better, and I would love to help you. And I'm sure every one of us would love to do more than vote. We'd love to be part of the solution. This is hurting you too. It's making your job harder. Everything about this. It's just makes the education that we're here for. Lost sight of it.
So again, I'm gonna be respectful of the people here on the dais. I will stick around if anybody wants to have a conversation after this, but it's 7:33. We're about 3 minutes over our proposed time. I'm willing to stay here in the boardroom and talk to anybody for as long as you would like to talk to me that has anything to do with the levy or anything that I can do from my perspective of operations. So thank you all for coming out. Thank you very much for those who joined us online. And at 7:33, we're going to close the meeting.
Can I ask one clarifying question regarding that task